The flames danced like wild creatures, twisting and convulsing, a chaotic ballet of destruction unfolding before my eyes. I could feel the heat wrapping around me, a searing embrace that turned my skin into a furnace. It was a savage reminder of the chaos swirling around us. Sirens screamed, each wail piercing through the air, mingling with the roar of the fire, creating a symphony of despair that drowned out my very thoughts. The acrid smell of smoke flooded my lungs, heavy and suffocating, clawing at the edges of reason. Instinct guided me as I rushed forward. Adrenaline poured through my veins, blurring the line between fear and duty. I barely heard my own thoughts, overtaken by a primal urge to save, to act, as the world around me spiraled into shock and panic. My heart drummed in my chest, a frantic rhythm that kept tempo with the chaos. I remembered the faint whimpering from within the building, the cries for help cutting through the clamor, a sound that thundered louder than the flames. Then, without seeking rationality, I lunged towards the inferno, my body propelled by a mix of courage and reckless abandon. In that moment, all that mattered was the desperate need to reach them, those trapped souls. My hand stretched out, reaching for the void that pulsed with life and fear, knowing it could cost me everything. And yet there was an unshakable resolve, my soul roaring to be the protector, the hero in the narrative of fear. But then, silence. The violent screech of metal twisting and tearing was replaced by an eerie stillness, a deafening void sinking into my bones. The fire consumed everything, pain, breath, sound. Each flickering flame, each crackle of wood splintering, melted into the vast expanse of nothingness. I grasped at the ephemeral, my heart racing even as the truth settled in. I could not escape. The world softened, the chaos fading into an indistinct haze. My thoughts began to dissipate like smoke swirling into the air, ephemeral and fleeting. Nothing could prepare me for the weight of darkness that enveloped me. It wasn't just silence, it was an abyss of isolation. The moment stretched, a cruel paradox of timelessness, my sense of self dissolving against the shadows. In one fleeting heartbeat, an echo of existence, I realized not a single sound remained. I became both witness and participant in the stillness, a fading echo in the dark. The pinprick of my consciousness hung suspended in that emptiness. With one last flicker of memory, a thought surfaced. I thought of home, and then nothing. The flames had raged, consumed, and I was left behind, adrift in a void that echoed with remnants of what once was. The weight of my existence falling into the silence of oblivion. I drifted through the void, an echo made of memories and shadows. Who am I? It was a question that floated just beyond my reach. Through the haze, fragments began to weave together, snippets of my existence threading back into focus like moths drawn to a flickering flame. I am Jack, a name, a face, a story, fractured yet whole, like the remnants of a long-forgotten tale. I was a firefighter, a guardian of lives, adept at battling flames that threatened to consume everything in their path. I had entered this world filled with a burning desire to protect, a calling to embrace danger in its most ferocious form. On any given day, I wore my courage like armor, believing it would shield me from the shadows lurking beyond the fire. I remember that day, ordinary in its cadence, yet heavy with the weight of anticipation. I was just doing my job, or so I thought. Shifts blurred, the routine comforting, yet the air charged with the electrifying hum of impending chaos. I could see my crew, faces familiar and worn, a patchwork of laughter and camaraderie. We bantered about the mundane, yet in that laughter I heard faint whispers of fate. Time was ticking away, each second woven together, creating an intricate tapestry of life unfolding. At home, my daughter awaited my return,
her smile elastic and bright. Those thoughts tugged at me, cradled with warmth amidst the smoldering chaos outside. I wondered for a moment if it would be my last chance to hear her laughter, to hold her close and promise her the world. Just another day, I had assured my partner, the fraying edges of my own conviction slipping away with each passing hour. As we prepared for our shift, I felt invincible. I was a warrior draped in the fabric of hope, believing I could emerge unscathed from any inferno. Yet deep within me, a shadow whispered, a reluctant fear that something was about to unravel all too soon. My thoughts drifted back to mundane moments that swirled before darkness took hold. The aroma of coffee billowing through the fire station, mingling with the distinct scent of gasoline, its sharpness awakening my senses. I had sipped that bittersweet brew, staring out the window at dark clouds on the horizon. Smoke billowed ominously, a warning charted across the sky. Yet, I brushed off the unease curling around my heart, convincing myself it was just another day filled with petty worries. I chuckled softly at a joke told, echoing along with the clatter of equipment being cleaned and maintained. The camaraderie among us shielded us from the foreboding whispers, encapsulating our laughter. "It'll hold," I reassured my crew as we inspected gear showing signs of wear, a quiet plea for attention masked by bravado. We were a family forged in the flames of purpose, yet within that fabric lay threads of vulnerability we dared not acknowledge. Conversations flowed, laughter wrapped around us, but beneath it all, my intuition rattled like a caged bird, a warning ignored in the facade of normalcy we clung to. Just a routine day, I told myself, though reality laughed at the notion. The choice of negligence hung in the air like a low-hanging storm cloud threatening to release turmoil. And there it was, that connection, my daughter's face sparkling in my mind, the draw of love nestled with a simmering guilt. After all, it is those we love who tether us to existence. I felt the ache of unfinished promises swirl around my heart, urging me to embrace every fleeting second. The warmth of her laughter echoed in my soul, filling the void left by uncertainty. But then, in one moment, the world tilted. The signs I had ignored splintered into a cacophony of dread, memories swirling like sparks drawn to an inextinguishable flame, a whirlwind of regret faster than I could fathom. I was a flaws-and-all hero, chasing a fleeting blend of duty and family, yet the specter of that burden loomed larger than life. A flickering light, an omen, began to fade, luminous with the fragility of existence. And in that very moment, just before everything would shift into darkness, I felt the weight of my choices coalesce into a single thought. Clarion clear amidst the hushed whispers of anxiety and guilt, I must protect them. The firestorm raged beyond the reach of understanding, a tempest of fate blossoming into reality. As I stood on the precipice of chaos, engraved in my heart was the lingering promise to shield my loved ones from all that could harm them, even if it meant facing the flames. The whisper of my resolve solidified in the moments before the storm. I was not just a firefighter, I was a father, a protector who had once believed he could shield his world from harm. Somewhere deep inside me, amidst the gathering shadows, I realized the true battle lay not in fighting the flames, but in confronting the depths of my own heart, a battle for love, a plea for redemption. In the throes of what lay ahead, I gripped that truth tight, even as everything spiraled into the unknown. The day before it all unraveled was so achingly ordinary, brushed with a tranquil veneer that masked the storm brewing beneath. Morning light filtered through the worn curtains of the fire station, casting muted shadows that danced quietly. I sipped my coffee, its warmth like a cocoon around my hands, while the world outside loomed heavy with unspoken omens. Dark clouds gathered at the horizon, wisps of smoke trailing upwards, and yet I brushed off the weight wrapping around my heart. Another peaceful day, I chuckled to myself. knowing that the laughter echoed foolishly against the gathering storm. My crew was a riot of energy, a collective of brothers and sisters in arms. Somehow, amid the laughter and chit-chat, the world felt safe, secure, as though nothing could break the fragile bond we had built. Yet, even amidst the banter, a sliver of tension sliced through the atmosphere, barely perceptible, like an unsettling whisper carried by the wind. I could almost touch it, the realization that the very air we breathed was charged with an electric hum, a warning I dared not acknowledge. "Time for inspection," I called to the team, shrugging off the sense of urgency creeping into my veins. We split up, tools clanking, hearts racing in nervous anticipation, an ironic juxtaposition to the calm exterior we wore. I moved through the familiar tools and hoses, assuming the inspection would bring me reassurance of our readiness to face whatever fires came our way. But as I examined the equipment, a gnawing sense of dread clung to me like the sense of smoke and sweat, vibrant yet unsettling. I inspected the hoses, those lifelines I trusted, and unease wrapped around my gut. The fraying edges of a couple of them caught my eye, hollow and vulnerable, begging for my attention. But I pushed the feeling aside, willing it to disappear. "It'll hold," I reassured my crew, my voice steady. Yet inside, doubt twisted like a coiling snake, wrapping tighter. As we gathered in the kitchen for a quick lunch, I felt the weight of every bite linger in my throat, the sandwich turning dry. We joked about calls past, shared tales of daring rescues, and laughter echoing against the walls. "Do you remember when Mike nearly slid down that ladder?" someone chimed, and we erupted. Laughter filled the room, smooth and warm, like hot chocolate on a winter day. But even then, in that moment of community and solidarity, beneath the shared smiles, a predisposition of foreboding washed over me. Every chuckle tinged with an unshakable sense that fate wouldn't allow this day to remain unmarked. Later, a twinge of guilt brushed against my conscience as I glanced at my phone, buzzing with a message from home. My daughter's name glowed on the screen, and as her words filled my vision, the laughter around me faded. "Daddy, I miss you. Are you coming home soon?" Each letter, each virtual blink from her illuminated my heart like the first rays of dawn, igniting my love, but also weaving shadows of guilt around the promise I had made her. "I'll be home soon, kiddo," I had sent back, my fingers shaking slightly as I pressed send, as if that simple exchange could banish the reality that loomed on the horizon. My heart wrestled with conflicting emotions, a father divided by duty and the love for my little girl. Somewhere in the back of my mind, the dark clouds gathered momentum, threads of fate winding together in a tapestry of chaos. The stillness in the air now felt like the calm before a storm, thick with unending suspense. I thought of my daughter, of the stories I wouldn't finish telling, of the meals left unsavored, of little moments I would never share again. My heart ached, so much yet to offer, so many moments unwritten. As the evening drew near, I stepped outside into the cool air, inhaling deeply, allowing the crispness to clear my mind. I stared at the horizon, where shadows flickered and danced, mirroring the chaos below. Our voices melted into the backdrop, whispers carried away by the wind. But within me, something simmered, an awareness that time was not on my side. I gripped my phone, the warmth of its screen a stark comparison to the chill of my thoughts. "I'll be home soon," I repeated softly, the promise tinged with all the things left unsaid. And until that moment when the swirling realities converged into flames, I chose to ignore the signs flashing like beacons of warning. The wear of the hoses, the flicker in my heart, the way the world seemed to hold its breath. Each mundane choice fell together like neatly stacked dominoes, leading me toward the storm I could no longer evade. As the darkness descended, I completely missed the echoes of fate, one last chance to look back before everything shifted in an instant. Embracing the innocence of the day, I failed to see that fate wielded a fierce grasp on the tapestry of my life. Perhaps it was a gift to be unaware, to float within that realm of tranquility before the tempest crashed the shores of our destinies. No one is prepared for the inevitable, yet we anticipate, we hope, we love, and ultimately cherish the sweet simplicity of life, even when foreboding grace dances in the periphery. Years later, they found it, a small, forgotten watch lying in the rubble, nestled within the ashes like a memory reluctant to fade. I was privy to the moment it was unearthed, though I could not touch it, could not reach out from the abyss enveloping me. The metal gleamed dully in the hands of the firefighter who discovered it, reflecting a haunting light against the backdrop of despair. Time had stopped, but the watch remained, its steel hands a silent witness to the moment I thought I could conquer chaos. It wasn't an ornate piece, just an inexpensive wristwatch, a relic of my daily life, yet it pulsed with significance. The silver had tarnished, the once reflective surface dulled by layers of grief and soot, as if the burden of time had dulled it in the wake of my absence. It had belonged to me long before the flames devoured everything familiar, a simple object cycling through moments of time that no longer belonged to me. I had fastened it around my wrist each day, a gentle reminder of my purpose, the weight grounding me as I fought to protect those in need. I remembered the way I used to glance at it, that staccato of seconds that dictated my life, chasing time with reckless abandon, yet it seemed so absurd now. It was just a watch, but in it I had woven hope, love, duty, and the bittersweet strings of time. The world passed beyond my reach, spinning wildly, but in that solitary watch lay whispers of my past, a chronicle of moments now gone. I had slipped it on that fateful day, feeling the cool metal settle against my skin, a ritual that tethered me to the ordinary and mundane. I could nearly hear the distant echoes of laughter and voices entwined with the mechanics of my world, each tick a heartbeat of remembrance. "Promise you'll come home for dinner," my daughter had chirped, her tiny hands wrapping around my arm, tugging me down to her level. I could still recall the dimple in her cheek, the playful twinkle in her eyes, shining with the innocence of youth. How could I ever know that it would be our last evening together? "Always," I had assured her, the words spilling from my lips as I kissed her forehead. But I hadn't made it home that night. Instead, I faced the flames that were hungry, ravenous in their need for destruction. The watch had stopped the moment the world changed, frozen at a moment when duty had chained me to fate. It had witnessed my failures, mistakes, and ultimately my sacrifice. Catastrophic echoes of love caught amid the devastation. In the aftermath of the chaos, when the debris settled and the world felt perpetually gray, my watch lay beneath the rubble, a forgotten promise. The realization echoed through my essence. It hadn't just captured time, but the essence of my life, entwined with the moments I could never reclaim. The firefighter cradled it in his palm, his face a mask of solemnity, eyes dark with resignation and respect. The realization, perhaps, that this artifact represented a life once vibrant, now silent. I couldn't help but feel the pull of my own sorrow, a fragmented essence wrapped around the watch, mingling with the heartbeat of the one holding it. No one knew the truth burrowed within, the promise hidden in its heart. It was more than just time. It was a conduit, a bridge between the past and the present, whispering secrets long held captive. In quiet moments, it would reveal the weight of unvoiced fears and regrets, each tick resonating with echoes of voices left behind. I witnessed the firefighter's fingers brush delicately against the watch's surface, searching for some connection. Through his touch, I sought to convey the stories mingled with that object, the tender moments of fatherhood, laughter, innocent promises. The smiles exchanged at bedtime, the lightness of hope handing over to a heavy heart full of love, and the bittersweet truth that lingered behind every goodbye. But there was fear hidden there too, the fear of what lay ahead, that day in the smoke-filled air. Against all odds, a heart filled with courage, consumed by the chaos of fire encroaching the world I loved. As he held it, a flicker of recognition blossomed across his face, eyes widening, as if the very essence of my spirit urged him to piece together the scattered fragments, to grasp the truth that pulsed like a heartbeat beneath the charred surface of this object. Time slowed. I wanted to scream, to call out to him, speak to this world again. But the silence bloomed, vast and infinite, wrapping me in an unyielding embrace. I was a ghost whose existence floated just beyond the touch of reality, hovering between what was and what could never be. But in that moment of recognition, I felt hope bloom within me. Perhaps this was my moment, my opportunity to bridge the gap, to share the weight of my longing, of the love that remained. What if he understood? What if, through the magic of that watch, he could glimpse the lives I had touched, the promise I had failed to keep? And so I lingered, wrapped in the warmth of memories that flickered to life like embers sparking under the ash. I longed to connect, to weave my story through the fibers of his understanding, letting him feel the weight of my heart, the love I carried for my daughter, for the life I had fought to protect. But then, as swiftly as it happened, he looked away, the watch slipping from his fingers and crashing to the ground, shattering the fleeting connection. The faint hope that flickered within me was extinguished, and I was left to drift once more in the void, watching as my history faded, drifting further into the abyss of lost time. And yet, I hoped that somewhere, in that very watch, someone might one day feel the remnants of my spirit, the whispers of memory still trapped inside. Perhaps it held the keys to something greater, the essence of love, sacrifice, and unfathomable truths waiting to be unveiled. If only they cared to listen. It was the last moment that hung in the air, a suspended breath between life and death, when everything I had fought for culminated in an understanding that both daunted and exhilarated me. There was a moment when I knew I should act, a clarity piercing through the chaos that surrounded me, a last chance to connect, to protect, to make my presence felt, even in this ethereal existence. I floated in a liminal space, caught in the mist of a veil that blurred the boundaries of what was once my life and what lay ahead. The world felt both achingly familiar and frighteningly distant, an echo of laughter tainted with sorrow, each sound a reminder of lost chances and unfulfilled promises. I longed to tell my daughter that her father hadn't abandoned her in the flames. No, I had fought to save others, to embrace the role of protector that had defined me. But lingering here, in this strange, quiet void, only my memories remained tangible. Each fragment a tether pulling me away from the last flicker of hope. The fire itself had raged and racked the foundation of my world, yet in the depths of that chaos lay the profound realization of what love truly meant. The watch, newly polished by time's relentless march, captured my gaze once more. It lay scattered with the shards of memories, small treasures hidden among the debris, waiting to be recognized. Hope surged within me at the thought that perhaps, within that simple piece of metal, I could grasp on to the last remnants of my existence. An urgency rushed through my essence. The fire had been contained, and the aftermath felt almost tranquil in its reflection of destruction. I sensed the life swirling around the watch, the air thick with emotion, and I yearned to impart one more message of love, caution, and depth to those who might one day uncover it. My spirit lit like a flame reignited, a blaze born within the ashes of all that I lost. The firefighter who had discovered the watch now stood at the edge of the debris field, his features drawn tight with the weight of understanding and sorrow. I sensed a dawning recognition in him, a flicker, a twinkle of light, urging him to connect the dots. I felt his heart racing, pounding against the grief that lingered like a specter in the air. "Who belonged to this?" he whispered, his voice soft yet choked with emotion. His fingers gently brushed the watch one last time, and I sensed the yearning filling him as he grasped the weight of my legacy. And then an overwhelming urge swept through me, pulsating within the air. The need to protect him, to guide him in some small way away from the grief I had endured, the pain of a promise unfulfilled. If only I could impart my last knowing, my last lesson about love, about life, about remembering those we have lost while cherishing those we still hold close. "Look for the faces," I felt myself whisper, though there were no sounds to mark my intention. "Seek the echoes, the laughter, and let that memory guide you." I closed my eyes, envisioning my daughter, her smile a beacon eternal. Remember that love is a flame. It does not extinguish with the fire, but grows stronger, illuminating the darkness. As if he heard me, the firefighter stepped back, his eyes searching the ruins, pulling memories closer to the surface. A feeling of harmony enveloped me, connecting our spirits, his life, my past, intertwining, spiraling through memories woven together by invisible threads. I could almost feel the warmth of my daughter's embrace swirling through me, the comforting sound of her laughter spurring me on as I wrapped everything I was into that final tether. The air pulsed with energy, igniting my desire to forge one last connection. But I struggled to manifest it, caught in the limbo of what could be. I reached for the space between us, longing to create a moment, a blueprint born from years of battling the very flames that had consumed me. With a surge of will, I guided his gaze back toward the watch, drawn to the small engraved inscription on the back, a simple declaration now infused with the weight of my soul. For the days unspent. Time soared in that suspension as the significance sank into him, his breath hitching. Understanding washed over the firefighter like a tidal wave, and I sensed the change within him, as if he understood the final message I had attempted to impart. I felt him reflecting on loss, on love, on the lives we fight to protect. He took a step back, the watch cradled in trembling hands, tears glistening in his eyes. I could sense the connection blooming anew, a spark that fueled a cycle of eternal remembrance, pushing back against the shadows of despair. The ruins shifted around us, the darkness lifted momentarily by this flicker of understanding. He understood that while flames could consume a body, the memories endured, a fire permanently etched within the hearts of all who remain. In that moment, I knew I had found my peace. My tears echoed through the fabric of who I once was, raging against the loss, yet finding solace in the love that emanated from within me, that grew stronger as I transitioned from protector to spirit. If only, I had exhaled, the words trailing off into the void. But he would remember, I knew it profoundly. I was not lost. My story would linger in the spaces between, forever connected through love and sacrifice. With a final collective breath, I released my grip on the past. I bid farewell to the pain of unfinished tales. I could finally let go, phasing into the serene light surrounding me, and yet a tender smile warmed my spirit. He would hold the watch, carry it forward, reminding him that love transforms, steadfast, undying, and forged through even the darkest tragedies. As the waves of forgotten moments washed over me, I felt weightless, caught in the pulse of something greater, a symphony of lives touching, intertwining, embracing. I soared upwards, engulfed in transcendent light, embracing the freedom of letting go while my voice intertwined with the eternal chorus of love. Its song would carry forth into the hearts of those who dared to listen and remember. In the limbo that followed the peace I had finally grasped, the world shifted around me. It was as if I had stepped into a dreamscape, a place untouched by time's rigid bounds, both beautiful and haunting in its quietude. I floated through the ethereal mist, feeling weightless, yet anchored by echoes of lives lived and stories left to linger. Awareness washed over me like soft waves, gently lapping at the shore, and I found myself suspended between realms, drifting into the realm of memories. Faces flickered in and out like specters caught in a half-remembered dream. They were fragments of laughter, of joy, veiled in shadows that sometimes bore the weight of sorrow. I could feel the love that existed within their depths, pulsing like a distant heart, reminding me of all the connections that once fueled my existence. I was no longer confined to the physical and its limitations. I tasted the air rich with nostalgia, a mosaic of experiences threaded tightly together. I could feel the warmth of my daughter's embrace, the sweet scent of her hair, feel her laughter echoing like ripples on a pond. With each breath, her voice resounded, filling my essence with delight and an ache too profound to comprehend. But along with that delight came a stirring. Unresolved questions and lingering regrets wrapped themselves around me like thick vines, dense and tangled. I thought of missed birthdays, unspoken words, moments when I could have knelt and listened. Within this place beyond life, the flickers of time's passage morphed into wisps of realization. My world, once so concrete, now shimmered with the vastness of what I could have done differently. I wandered through layers of these memories, absorbing the bittersweet tapestry of life, a collage of lives intertwined, a chorus of voices each adding their melody to the song of existence. There was an old man sitting on a park bench, smiling through tears as he watched a young couple sway to the rhythm of their love. I drifted there, enveloped in the warmth of his joy. He too was a vessel of memory, forever drawn to the beauty of unreciprocated love, while life moved ahead without hesitation. In another fleeting moment, I followed the laughter of children splashing in a river, their joy carefree, so pure. Their small hands reached toward the sky, cutting through the surface of innocence untouched by pain. I felt their laughter echo in my being, a reminder that, even in suffering, glimmers of happiness could pierce the gloom. And yet, there was a stillness in the air that unsettled me, a profound quiet that seeped into the corners of my awareness. I sensed other souls around me, their presences whispering tales of fleeting moments caught in eternity, souls who had also loved deeply and lost profoundly. The connection breathed life into the silence, rich with the weight of their collective experiences, a steady hum like a comforting lullaby woven through the veil. There was a moment when I felt drawn to them, reaching out, wanting to merge with their essence, to share the burdens of regrets that lay suspended in air like tendrils caught in a soft breeze. But I held back. Something held me rooted, tethered to the knowledge that their stories, like mine, were to be honored, respected, held close, but never intermingled. Emotions cascaded over me like a waterfall, each droplet carrying fragments of longing, remorse, and above all, the universality of love I had learned to cherish. I felt the tapestry stretching and unfolding, each thread a reminder that connections endured, even when separated by unimaginable distances. In this boundless vacuum, realities merged with echoes of unfulfilled dreams. A mother's lost child, a brother's final goodbye, a lover's longing carved into a piece of music. I floated, absorbing it all, marveling at how each experience weaved together, binding our souls into an unfathomable landscape of experiences where love transcended loss. Here, I drifted, unburdened by the weight of regrets but informed by them, floating in a river of understanding and acceptance that smoothed the jagged edges of my former pain. I began to see it all, the faces of loved ones lost, their laughter lingering, their kindness echoing in the chambers of time.
They were lost yet present, their warmth forever sheltering my spirit. They knew I had fought the good fight, even in the flames of tragedy. And in that current, I felt the invisible forces drawing me toward the echoes of my past, the love that shaped who I had become along the journey through life's uncertainties. I allowed myself to drift closer, each breath a surrender to the truth that existence transcended mortality. Suddenly, clarity surged through my being like fire igniting kindling. I understood. The forgotten watch was only the beginning, a small piece of a much larger mosaic. The moment I shared with the firefighter became a thread that connected a multitude of souls intertwined by love, loss, hope, and remembrance. With that revelation, I allowed myself to unfold, to release the lingering sorrow I had carried. Time ceased its relentless march. Instead, it wrapped around me like a gentle embrace, guiding me toward a new awareness, the realization that love is never truly lost. It lives on, transcending physical boundaries, a divine rope tying souls together forever. And in that sacred space, I floated, not as the protector I once strived to be, but as a witness to the beauty of existence, an eternal participant in the dance of life, love, and transformation.
With a deep breath, I surrendered, surrendering my form back to the ether from which I had emerged, feeling as though I was stepping into light yet again, not to leave behind the whispers of those I had loved, but to carry them with me, a radiant part of eternity where memories lived on, stitched into the very fabric of being. Lost, yet more alive than ever, I soared, free to embrace the legacy I had built, luminous in the philosophy that love, no matter how fleeting or imperfect, became a bridge linking us all. And so I transitioned into the light, into the love, into the boundless expanse of what it truly meant to exist in its purest form, knowing I was never truly gone, only transformed. In the embrace of boundless light, I felt the pull of the world I had loved so dearly. It was a gentle tug, an invitation to witness how everything I had feared missing continued to unfold. And so I transitioned into the light, into the love, into the boundless expanse of what it truly meant to exist in its purest form, knowing I was never truly gone, only transformed.
I hovered there, my essence shimmering like stardust, drifting back toward the fabric of existence, ripe with memories and emotions, an echo of the moments that shaped life itself. Days passed in the world below, the very breath of life continuing onward, unyielding to the shadows of loss. I sensed their rhythm, the heartbeat of families resonating with hope, the laughter of children playing, and the shared stories binding them, each voice lifting toward the heavens as an offering. Somehow, I felt intimately connected to them, yet beautifully distant, a silent observer woven into the tapestry. And then, like a whisper borne on a soft breeze, I was drawn into a moment, unspooling in layers like the petals of a flower awakening at dawn. A young girl held my watch in her small hands, cradling its significance as if it were delicate treasure. Her brow furrowed as she read the engraving, the words shimmering in an iridescent glow that transcended time. For the days unspent. Her eyes sparkled with the innocence of youth, and in that instant, I knew she felt something beyond comprehension. Perhaps it was the quiet resonance of love that coursed through my spirit, an understanding too deep to articulate, an unbroken connection whispering to her soul that she was never truly alone. I longed to reach out to her, to tell her that the watch held my story, a vessel of time intertwined with the moments I cherished and the life I had promised to protect. In her, I saw my daughter's vibrant laughter and her infectious curiosity. Those echoes reflected back at me as she traced her fingers over the worn metal. I could almost hear the songs of laughter between us, carried on the wings of time like fragile paper boats floating down a stream. It was surreal. My spirit felt alive again. Around her, life thrived. Love pulsed with each heartbeat. The world continued to spin on its axis, filled with bright colors and joy shimmering through the air. But the shadows of remembrance lingered behind her like a gentle pull. She turned, glancing at her mother, who stood nearby, offering a warm smile as she reached for her. In that singular moment, I embraced the emotions swirling through me, a bittersweet mix of longing and joy. I longed to hold my daughter, to tell her about the love that propelled me, the sacrifices I had made, and how, even in the darkest times, love became my guiding light. To show her that memories are eternal, that even when we cannot touch, we remain connected, woven into the very fabric of one another's lives. The young girl looked back down at the watch, and the gentle smile on her lips mirrored the warmth that enveloped me. It was a sacred moment of recognition. She understood that love endures despite the transient nature of life. She held tight to it, promising silently to carry my memory forward, a bridge spanning life and the beyond. In that rush of realization, I began to fade, a bittersweet surrender. I felt myself becoming both light and shadow, the essence of everything I had loved. The winds of change gently beckoned me. The world below shifted, realigned, as the echo of my spirit soared toward the light. But as I dissipated into the ether, my heart swelled, knowing my legacy would transcend time. The love I bore would illuminate countless lives. It would linger in the laughter, the dreams, and the bleached pages of memories, words etched upon hearts forever nourished by the essence of connection. And so I whispered my final goodbyes, fleeting yet infinite, woven into the whisper of the wind, becoming part of the indelible love the universe cradled. I breathed in deep, the fragrance of life intermixed with light, mingling in a dance of what was and what still could be. Floating free, yet ever anchored by love, I embraced the beauty of existence, releasing the remnants of the past, a testament to resilience and transformation, knowing that I would always be remembered as part of something greater, a flicker among everlasting stars. The warmth enveloped me like a cocoon, and I understood. My journey was not one of absence, but presence, limitless as the love I had shared. I would forever echo through the hearts of those I had touched, leaving traces of light and shadow, stories behind for others to carry onward, the whispers of love intertwined, eternally resonating through the cosmos. And with that, I embraced the calm, unwinding into the light, ready to soar beyond the horizon of my existence into the infinite embrace that awaited.